see a seconder. All those in favor? Thank you. Receipt of minutes from May 5th, 2026. Is there any errors or omissions in them? All right. All those in favor of receiving them? Thank you. We have no delegates, and we'll move into number 7, staff reports. It's a commission report dated May 25th, 2026 from Yev Mel, General Manager of Finance, IT, and Procurement. And Yev, take it away. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So through the Chair, over the course of the last several weeks, we went through a legal review of the NR FPQ document, as well as the project team working on additional costs pertaining to this project that would fall outside of the design scope. So those are listed out in the report. The main item that we added that's about half the amount there, the 2.5 million, is the owner's contingency. We originally were in our original documents putting as much as the risk as we could on the design builder, but it's virtually impossible to do all of that. There's any number of events or circumstances that can occur during the process that would be the responsibility of the RDCK. So, and it is fairly, if not a standard, for the owner to retain some of that responsibility. So we added a 10% contingency, owner's contingency, to the budget. And basically what the proposal is, or the recommendation is, that this additional project costs be funded through taxation during the first 2.5 or 3 years of the project, where the borrowing will be phased in and debt payments will be solely interest-based. So basically we'd get a construction loan from MFABC, which would leave room for taxpayer requisitions to fund these RDCK identified costs here. So that is my summary of the report. So I'll leave it open to questions and discussion then.
First, can I make a motion to give freedom of the floor to CAO Barlow, just in case he has any questions? If there's a seconder for that. Thanks.
All right. All those in favor of the motion? Thank you.
I don't know if you will, but I thought just in case. That was all. You can who wants to start now. I just want to
questions. Commissioner Hanegraaff?
Yeah, I have just a couple of questions. I think I understand what's being proposed. I guess the first question I have is, we've made application for that grant, the $7 million, I think it is. When will we know whether we're getting all or part of that?
Through the Chair, I haven't heard any news lately. I've been checking in on it, unless any other staff have heard anything about it. Craig, Tricia, or Chris.
Mr. Barlow.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, we did. We had contact with the Minister for Municipal Affairs. Was in town a couple weeks ago, and we did ask them actually this question, and so they anticipated summer announcements. So weren't specific, but I would think probably that would mean July, early August. But I think it's a pretty changing landscape, so I wouldn't bank anything on that.
No, I'm not suggesting we bank anything on that, but I think that's an answer we would need before going to referendum for sure, and it may give us all a bit of relief around this situation. So am I right in thinking that the timeline has to be that the referendum has to be done and we have to know the outcome before the final adoption of our financial plans in March of 2027? Is that right?
Through the chair, in order to tax next year for this project, that's correct. It would have to be in place and all approvals in place prior to March 31, 2027.
Okay. My last question is so through consultation, people have said that they'll tolerate up to $199 per year per household, per average household. And our current plan is 168 a year. What would increasing that to 199 or 195 or something within our bracket, how much more money does that generate for the project? Because I'm sorry, but my pencil isn't sharp enough for that.
Yeah, excuse me, through the chair, I just have to do a little bit of math here.
Yep, no problem.
Sorry, I should have probably had this question into you before this meeting, but I've been driving, well, most of the day, not all day. Stop for lunch.
Well, that's always good that you stop for lunch.
Yeah, through the chair, that would produce about an additional $250,000 in per year in those first 3 years.
Thank you. Do you have a follow-up, Commissioner Hendegraff, or?
Oh, I might have another question after I hear more discussion. I was actually thinking, so the 168 is for the duration of the borrowing, right?
Through the chair, the 168 is for in the recommendation is for the first 3 years of the new service. So basically the design build phases, and then it drops to 157, 155 once the construction is complete, and then we're paying back the borrowing and some of the other costs attributable to the service.
So am I right in thinking that regardless of how this is structured, what we're talking about is 17.5 million, not 15 million?
Yeah, through the chair, if you include the costs that the regional district is responsible for, that is correct. Having said that, if there are none of those contingencies are required, there's that would reduce it by the 1.35 million for contingencies. The design builders would likely also have a contingency in place, but it'd be a fixed part of their contract. So if they did not need to utilize any of that, they would retain that.
So, sorry, supplement, is it fair to say that this would be a worst case scenario for us? This is, we're not gonna see another increase?
Through the chair, I can think of worst case scenarios than this, so I wouldn't say this is the worst. this is sort of that best practices contingency of 10%. Would 20% be safer? I would say yes. But in that case, if we were to, if things, any number of factors came to play and we needed more than that, then we would have to consider possibly additional short-term borrowing at that time.
Okay, yeah, I think I'll leave it to I think I understand, and this is a public meeting, right? It's not in camera or anything.
Yep.
I think I understand, and as long as the voters understand when we go to referendum too. Right?
Yep. I see your hand there, Commissioner Heaton shares to beat off, but we've got Commissioner McFadden first, and then we'll come to you.
Great, thanks. So Penny asked one of my questions. The other question I have around, if we approve this for financial plan, make the motion today, is there still room to negotiate some of where this comes from in where we're putting here? And there's not huge amounts, but there are things that I think it's worth having us being able to have some flexibility over, okay, if Area J, the city, sit down and we're having a conversation over, hey, we might have fill in the blank to contribute here, there. I'm not saying we do. I'm just saying if we do. Or let's say the asbestos remediation, which is the one thing where I'm like, I'm not sure this should be coming out of new service. I think this should be carried by, it's the existing building that's being funded by the existing service. So that piece, I'd be like, I actually would like that 50,000 to probably come out of our S222, not the new service. So I'm just wondering about the new one. I don't want to hold this up, and it's not massive amounts. I'm just wondering about process-wise, if we pass this today, is there still room to have some of those conversations over adjusting any of these along the way, or do we need to do that today?
Through the chair, yeah, no, there will be room to do that if there's additional funding that could replace some of this taxation funding, whether it be through some sort of grant or agreement to pay through other service. Then we can right up till next March reduce the taxation levels that are proposed here. And as far as the asbestos one, I could see that going either way. I guess the discussion comes, would you do the asbestos as abatement if you weren't doing this project, might be a question that'd be asked, but I think that would be my, one perspective on that.
Yeah, follow up. I've thought on both sides of it too. I just think, okay, yeah, but if anyone, let's say, hits that wall, that would have to be done anyway, and that can happen at any time. That's a risk that S222 carries right now. And so does it make sense for a new service to take on a risk that S222 already carries? And it's not a massive amount of money, so I wouldn't want to hold up. I mean, it is, but not in the grand scheme of the, money we're talking about here. There's nuance to some of that I'd like to kind of just have a bit more, maybe have with the whole table with everyone here, because we're missing one of the directors that would impact. I'd love to be able to have that conversation and just and talk through some of that. But again, as long as there's room to continue with that, I'd rather have that when we have all of us here and pass it as it is today, and then figure that out as we go in the next 6 months.
Yeah, through the chair, I think the main purpose of getting this getting this done today is so we can issue that RFPQ and provide a solid base number to the respondents of what funds are available to the design build contractor for their portion of the costs.
Great, thank you.
Craig, I saw your hand up. Is it pertaining to the discussion just about the asbestos?
Yeah, through the chair, it was,
Thank you.
the number is put in there based on any potential openings for the construction, not the risk that S222 currently carries for the arena. So it'd be for anything related to the construction of the new building. That's why that number is in that budget.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Heaton-Schuster-Bedoff.
Thank you through the chair. Just curious, so if we do get a grant of 7 million, then technically we would borrow 8 million for the project. And we would know likely by end of summer, beginning of September, kind of for that grant. So this 2-point-some million dollars, we could add that to our borrowing. Is that correct? And would that be the 168 or the 199? Or do they have to be separate out?
Through the chair, you can structure it any way we want, or any way you want. And whether, the borrowing is covering this 2.5, or it's covering a portion of the design build, it really doesn't matter. It's covering a portion of the 17.5 million. So then it would be at the discretion of the commission whether to reduce taxation, or some of it might go to reduce taxation, or to or by how much to reduce borrowing. So once it comes, a decision is made or an award is made, and if it's coming towards the service, I'm sure there'd be further discussions about the options, and at that point we can discuss the pros and cons about which approach to take.
Yeah, just to supplement to that. So my opinion is these are costs borne to do the project. So we have to just approve that today, these extra costs. And then I think what you're saying is that we have some time to figure out how we're going to pay for it, or if there's wiggle room for, the city of Castlegar and Area J to come up with some other plan. But I think, to get this moving, we do have to approve it. And these are probably things that we additionally didn't think of. So that's kind of where I am. It's just after we make this decision, we have time to figure out how we're going to pay for all this through taxation, or if we can get some additional grants for some of these items from somewhere. Just my little opinion.
Thank you. Commissioner Hanegraaff.
I should have this figured out by now. I just want to say that I agree with the notion of Jay and the city sitting down and figuring out if there's a way. I don't have huge buckets of money, but I do have grant money that as much as I'm not a big fan of using grant money to offset taxation, I think this is a one-time situation on a project that's strongly supported, in my case, by the residents of Area J. And so if there's a way that we can get our heads together to figure out a way to decrease some of this cost, whatever that looks like. Even if we end up saying, okay, we can't do it, it has to be through taxation. I think it's incumbent on us to sit down in a room and see if there's a way that we can, if there are other ways that we can work this through. And I do agree with Director Heaton-Schuster-Bedoff that it's the cost of the project. And if we're gonna move it forward, we're just gonna have to do it or not. I mean, if we're not able to do this or we're all opposed to doing it, we should say that. Personally, you know, I'm not thrilled, but I support the proposal in the interest of moving this forward.
Great. I just one other question I forgot to ask. What is a commissioning agent? I should have maybe known that, but I don't know what that is.
Through the chair, AJ, do you want to address that one?
Sure. Through the chair, basically that commissioning agent acts as kind of an oversight individual, basically like almost like a site inspector or a consulting individual who basically makes sure that the design builder actually builds the project to the specifications that we've identified in our OSR, and it's kind of the oversight individual making sure that we're getting exactly what we're paying for.
Thank you.
My comment is, I support project going forward. Not, you know, like it's been said, it's the cost of doing it. Basically the only question I have, and I think I already know the answer, that all this information will be included in the public engagement as well, which more just for the record, for the people online, that I wanted to say that. And unfortunately, I think we've got to do it if we want to get it ever done, right? So, and thank you, Yev, for bringing this forward and having an extra meeting. I know your guys' schedules is extremely busy, so that is appreciative as well. Is there any more? Sorry, Commissioner Haydenshire to beat up.
So Nev, if we go ahead and approve this, then what's the next steps?
Through the chair would be to issue the RFPQ. And since this recommendation requires board approval, we would issue the RFPQ contingent to board approval of this recommendation. And so we hope to get that out. Our plans to get that out by the end of this week. Leave about 4 weeks for the submissions for the RFPQ. And then after that, a short evaluation period. The plan would be currently to get proponents selected and in front of the commission, and a pretty quick turnaround early July for board approval at July meeting. I don't know if this is worst case or good case scenario, but there is some risk here if we get more than 2 qualified respondents to the RFPQ, which is a request for qualifications. There is some risk that we would not be, it would be tight to be able to evaluate 3 respondents or reduce to 2 in a period of a week. And so great that you have 3 respondents, but it also potentially pushes the scale down. So I think for next week's meeting, Tricia will be potentially providing another update. So we'll include some of that regarding timelines. Our commitment was we produce an update every meeting. So that's sort of one of the near-term risks that we're looking at. If there's a lot of positive response to that actually affects the schedule negatively.
Okay, so for us, we typically meet like the first Tuesday of July or whatever. So we might just have to have a special meeting. Because the way I'm looking at it, it looks earliest to us might be the 2nd week of July. Is that kind of your thoughts too?
Yeah, through the chair, if we're able to get it done in 2 weeks before the board meeting, and then that may not push the schedule. If it became really complicated and it was a mix of local vendors and non-local vendors, some timber, some not timber, then we really have to be careful about making that selection and may require even an external a third party to confirm that the process was fair. So we are currently leaving that open. So we'll definitely keep the commission up to date as we go forward.
And just supplement to that, if you will, Chair.
Yeah.
So if we meet in July, we go over the report that you guys give us. We will, in that report, there'll be information if we can go to referendum in October? Would that leave you guys enough time? Or what are your thoughts?
Through the chair, we're currently targeting November 28th as a referendum date. October is not doable and is actually really tight. Sorry, November's even really tight right now, given the engagement period. So I guess my question is, and maybe I'm not aware, is there a commission meeting planned to go ahead next week, as well as this special meeting today?
Yes, there is.
Okay, yeah, so through the chair, then we'll give a timeline update for next week and include some of those risks that I've talked about.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanegraaff.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understood you right. If we pass the recommendation today, then you will do the RFPQ contingent on, so we're not going to wait for the June board meeting to confirm what we decide today. You're going to do it contingent on that confirmation. Is that right?
Yeah, through the chair, correct. There's a little bit of risk involved in that some respondents might be like, oh, I'm not going to do it for 12, but I'll do it for 15, so I'm going to wait. But I think having the commission's approval should weigh heavily towards the positive on that one.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ev. Is there any other questions or comments? All right, I'm going to read the recommendation that the board approve an additional $2,509,000 funding from taxation to be included in the draft financial plan for the Castlegar District Arena and Walking Track Project as outlined in the Castlegar District Recreation Commission report dated May 25th, 2026. Any more discussion?
Second.
All right. All those in favor? Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate all that work. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to say thanks to staff too. I know you really worked hard to figure it out and get it to us in a timely manner, and I really appreciate that.
All right. That brings us to public time. Is there anyone online? No, I know. I usually go online first. I just want to know. So, all right. Do you have any questions?
No, great.
Catherine, you usually don't, but it's nice to have you here though.
Thanks. I'm happy to be back.
All right. The next meeting, all those in favor? Thank you very much, everybody.
Bye. Have fun, Henny.
Thanks, everybody. See you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
Sue.